Alrighty, we are good to go. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining Beth Anderson and myself for our weekly Zoom calls. Today, we are super excited. Our guest speaker is Rebecca Rogers. Beth and I were actually friends with Rebecca. Before we ever did Plexus, we were all getting to know each other. I'd say actually maybe a few months right before. And then we all started doing Plexus together. And I would say since Plexus, we've all become even better friends. We all three of us have that McKinney Christian Academy connection. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Rebecca is also a certified nutritionist, so she knows her stuff, what she's talking about. I was able to go to Lubbock with her a couple weeks ago and hear her gut health presentation. And for those of you who are like myself, I am not a product guru or a ingredient guru. That's not my strong point. So this is a great presentation. Rebecca kind of dummies it down for those people like me. So it's a great presentation. So Rebecca, like I said, Beth and I are super excited. If you want to share your story and then go ahead and do your presentation, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate all the kind words. We had a good time in Lubbock, and I love doing this presentation. I love talking about gut health. I have been with Plexus. I just had my 3-year anniversary, and like many of you, started out, as a customer or just to get, my products at wholesale and to lose weight. And when that started happening, my team just started growing and growing, and I thought, oh, I better take this seriously. So that's when I really dug in, got to know more about the ingredients, doing a lot of research. I've always been a health nut, I guess you would call me. I started taking probiotics probably, 20 years ago, so way before it was trendy. So I am going to share my screen here. Let's see if this works. Okay. Can everybody see that? All right. So I'm going to start out. Oh, dear. Wait a minute. Well, it's kind of. Well, can you see that? Can you see the statistics over there on the side? We're going to start out talking about some bad news, actually. Some alarming statistics. 8 out of 10 Americans, the average age of 25, are overweight or obese. So that's 174 million Americans that are overweight or obese, and 13 million children between the ages of 2 and 19 are overweight. So that's nearly a third of our children. 29 million children and adults have diabetes. And that's 9% of our population. And these numbers, they're expected to just double by 2030. So things aren't going to get better. They're just going to continue to get worse. And these are just some statistics on disease. High cholesterol. So 17% of our population has high cholesterol. That's 1 in 6 adults. Like I said before, diabetes is on the rise. There are 100 million people living with chronic pain. That's 1 in every 10 adults. And there are 80 million cases of nerve damage and neuropathy. Cancer, 40% of men and women at some point in their life will be diagnosed with cancer, and it's the second most common cause of death. Autoimmune diseases are on the rise. You hear about people having lupus and fibromyalgia and all different kinds of autoimmune diseases. And 52 million people suffer from arthritis. So are y'all glad you joined me today for that good news? Well, these are the top 10 health complaints that people have that they go to their doctor with. They have food cravings. They're feeling bloated. They're fatigued. Lots of people are experiencing weight gain and poor sleep. There are so many people suffering from insomnia, allergies, feeling swollen. People have joint and back pain, and stomach and digestive issues are huge. And lots of people are just going to the doctor, just saying, I just don't feel good. So what we have discovered is that these are caused by 3 main problems: blood sugar instability, inflammation, and poor gut health. So we are going to start talking about those three things because you need to take care of your body because it's the only place you have to live in. So I'm going to talk about our triplex combo and how the Slim, the ProBio 5, and the BioCleanse can help us with some of our health issues. So we're going to talk about blood sugar instability and inflammation. So we're going to do like the day in the life of the average person. So this was me. This is probably many of you, lots of busy moms. Wake up in the morning and you have your cup of coffee. Well, caffeine causes your insulin levels to rise or causes your blood sugar to spike. And when your blood sugar spikes, your body's reaction is that your pancreas secretes insulin. The insulin brings the blood sugar level back down to a normal level, but it does it so quickly that there is excess insulin left over. And what your body does with that is two things. It creates inflammation throughout your body, and it stores the rest as fat, okay? So we've already started that with our cup of coffee. So next we move on to breakfast, and a lot of people are busy, have to get out the door, so they don't have a busy breakfast, so they might have a bowl of cereal or grab a muffin or something like that. Well, what you've done is you have more sugar there that's going to cause your blood sugar to spike again. Your pancreas is going to secrete the insulin. It's going to bring your blood sugar back down. But what's going to happen with the excess? It's going to create inflammation, and it's going to store the leftover as fat. Okay, so then you head out the door and you get the kids to school and you're running errands and you run through a drive-through to get something to eat for lunch. So, or you meet a friend, and we all have good intentions, and think, oh, I'm going to have a salad and I'm going to be good. But we get there and it's like, oh, the hamburger sounds good, or the French fries sound good, or the diet soda, because diet soda is better for us. No, that is so wrong. It has artificial sweeteners that are actually worse for you than sugar. But they have the same reaction, and it's going to cause your blood sugar to spike again. And your pancreas is going to secrete the insulin to bring it back down to a healthy level. And what's going to happen with the leftover? We're going to have inflammation, and it's going to store it as fat. So then it's about 3:00 in the afternoon, and we're headed to carpool, and we're crashing because we've already been on this roller coaster a couple times today with the blood sugar spikes. So we head to get our cup of coffee, our flavor, our cafe mocha frappe, non-fat coffee. So then you've got a triple whammy because you've got the caffeine, you've got the sugar, and so our blood sugar is going to spike again. Our pancreas is going to secrete insulin. It's going to bring our blood sugar back down to a normal level. But what's going to happen, again, for the fourth time already today, we're going to have inflammation, and the rest is going to be stored as fat. So we're not even to dinner yet, or snacks when we get home from school with the kids, or, before you go to bed. So what's going to happen if you do this day after day, or any of us does this day after day? Well, you're going to probably have chronic inflammation throughout your body. We've stored fat, so we're probably going to gain weight. Your body can become insulin resistant. And if you keep up with this, day after day, what's going to happen is your pancreas can give out, and you can end up with type 2 diabetes. So fortunately, we have a tool that we can use and that is our pink drink. Yum. Everybody have their pink drink this morning. Because we need a tool. Because, it would be great if we could stay home every day and eat kale and never eat anything processed out of a bag or a box, or stay away from the drive-thrus or the coffee, but it's not practical. So fortunately, we have Slim, our pink drink. And so when we drink that every day, what that's going to do is it's going to help keep our blood sugar at a healthy level throughout the day. It's going to help us lose weight in inches because it's going to burn fat and not muscle. And it's going to give us that sustained energy, that we all feel. If I miss a day without drinking my pink drink, I know I miss that energy that I have, and it's a natural energy. It's going to help increase our willpower over food, which then in turn is going to reduce our binge eating. And then if we have our blood sugars balanced, we're not going to be creating that inflammation throughout our bodies. And it also is going to keep our cholesterol and lipids at a healthy level. So we are going to watch a quick video, just a couple minutes. This is, he's an ambassador. His name is Jeff Welch, and he is a type 1 diabetic.
Hi, my name's Jeff Welch. I'm 51 years old and I'm a type 1 diabetic. I developed type 1 diabetes in February of 1984. At that point, it kind of hit me. It's like, wow, my life's never going to be the same. I'm going to have to carry these needles, these syringes, these vials of medication with me everywhere I go. High blood sugars for the diabetic have long-term effects that are perilous. If you live your life with high blood sugars consistently and high hemoglobin A1C reading, you're going to have diabetic complications, period, end of story. I developed frozen shoulder, and I could not move my shoulder. I mean, I couldn't even move it up 2 inches without a lot of pain. And I just kind of lived with it for a little while until I got on the basketball court and couldn't use my left hand anymore. I'm used to using my left hand. We were introduced to plexus by our oldest daughter, Amber. Started taking the plexus slim on a Monday, consistently taking it every day. 3 days later, my blood sugar was normal. And since that time, my blood sugar in the mornings has had a range of anywhere from 60 to 110, which is exactly where the diabetic wants to be. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, I'm on the court, and I made a move to the basket and laid it up left-handed. And I said, that's the first time I've done anything with my left arm. And I just kind of noticed it. Before that, I didn't really notice it, but I was able to stretch it straight up and down, straight out, everywhere. And nothing changed during that time. My diet didn't change. My exercise routine didn't change. Nothing, no other supplements or what have you. Just plexus slim. We have nutritionist friends, we have doctor friends, we have chiropractor friends that have looked at the ingredients closely and are sold on it and give the thumbs up, both thumbs up on it. I look ahead now, rather than being on the statistical realm of dying when I'm 60, not being able to spend any time with my grandchildren. Now, I can probably live to be 80. It was such a vital thing to our family, and it's such a wonderful thing, and now I have much more to look forward to.
Isn't that an awesome testimony? That's one of my favorites. And I love to share that because we know, all of us know somebody that is diabetic or pre-diabetic. And he looks like he's perfectly healthy, but he wasn't. So the Slim has helped him. And so, it's a wonderful tool for people that need it for that. So we're going to start talking a little bit about gut health. And the gut is the gateway to good health. And the reason for that is because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut, okay? You have trillions of good bacteria in your gut. And it's very important because it helps aid in digestion and fights disease. And it's very important to keep a proper probiotic balance. So what that looks like is about 80% good bacteria and 20% bad bacteria. Unfortunately, for most people in the way we eat, those numbers are reversed. And that can happen a couple of different ways. Antibiotics, if you've been on an antibiotic, it can wipe out your good bacteria. It not only kills the bad, but it also wipes out the good. If you've been on steroids or a lot of medications, they actually feed the bad bacteria. And if you have the typical American diet with starches and carbs and sugars, that just feeds the bad bacteria. And the most common bad bacteria is called yeast, okay? And if you have an overgrowth of yeast in your gut, you are probably going to be having cravings like sugars and breads and dairy and fruit. I know that I always used to crave, just candy. The hard stuff, like sweet tarts, because yeast feeds on sugar. So it actually causes you to have cravings. So it's kind of not your fault. It is, but it isn't. But it's a cycle. If you eat sugar, you're going to create more yeast, and the more yeast that's created, it's going to make you crave more sugar. So I kind of think of it as you're not eating for one, you're eating for like 20 million, okay? Because they want to be fed. It can also cause chronic fatigue, loss of energy, inability to concentrate or focus. My best friend's daughter, who had problems with concentrating and focusing in school and was on prescription medications for it, came to her mom her sophomore year and told her that she didn't like the way the medicines were making her feel, and it was making her have, very dark feelings and just moody. And so my friend said, well, that she had heard that the Slim and ProBio 5 could help with that. So she took it to her doctor and showed him the products and the ingredients, and he approved everything. And she started on 1 Slim a day and a ProBio 5 at night, and changed almost overnight. She was able to come off of all of her prescription medications. My friend will tell you that she just turned into a totally different girl. She blossomed. She was filled with joy. She went on her junior and senior year to do things she never would have thought of doing, like getting on student council and even becoming a cheerleader. So it helps a lot with the inability to concentrate and focus. It can help with irritability and anxiety and depression. 90% of our serotonin receptors are in our gut, and that's our happy hormone. So if you don't have that and that's not functioning, it can cause with anxiety and depression. I know that I used to suffer with panic attacks. They were horrible. They were debilitating. I didn't want to leave the house because I didn't ever know where they were going to happen. And when they did happen, I would just have this, flight feeling that I had to get out of wherever I was at. And they started happening. They got worse at church. So every Sunday I'd be sitting there in church, either praying my way through that I wouldn't have a panic attack. I wouldn't, hear the sermon half the time. And because I just had this feeling, I don't know why, I didn't think I could get up out of my seat at church. I guess I could have, but I just thought I have to sit here. So I just sat there just dreading that I was possibly going to have a panic attack. So it wasn't until, later on that I cleaned up my gut that I realized that was why. I thought it was in my head. But because your gut and your brain are connected, they're both on the same nervous system, it's going to cause you to have those kind of panic feelings. Okay. So once I got my gut cleaned up, the panic attacks went away. It can also cause brain fog, migraines, and allergies. Some gastrointestinal symptoms it can cause is bloating and gas. It can cause abdominal pain, heartburn, indigestion, diarrhea, and constipation. Urinary symptoms, yeast infections for sure, and bladder and other kind of infections. And as for the skin, not only can the yeast grow in your gut, it can grow in your mouth. It can grow in your skin in all different areas. So it can cause breakouts, patches of dry, itchy skin, red inflamed skin, yeast in the mouth, or diaper rash, things like that. Now, I'll tell you also, another thing that can help with some of the skin symptoms is the Plexus body cream. My 15-year-old daughter swears by it. She puts it on her face every night, and it keeps her from having breakouts. I remember last year we were going to she played on a club volleyball team, and we had an all-day tournament. We were out the door about 5 o'clock in the morning, and she woke up with a pimple in the middle of her forehead, and she had a dance that night. So she took her body cream with her to the volleyball tournament, and I kept seeing her, like every time she was off the court or they had a break, she would go over and she'd dab some of the body cream on her forehead. And her friends are all like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I got to get rid of this by the dance tonight." And I kid you not, by the time she left for the dance, it was gone. So it had pulled out all the toxins during the day. It was a miracle. So it was a great thing. So I love the body cream. But my daughter takes the ProBio 5 every night before she goes to bed and uses the body cream, and she has great looking skin. So now, what can happen if we get an overgrowth of yeast in our gut, it can cause something called leaky gut syndrome, which I don't know how many of you have heard of this, but I'm going to try to give you just a simple explanation of what leaky gut is. Your digestive tract, if you imagine it like a net with extremely small holes, okay? And the reason those holes are there are so that when we eat foods, the nutrients that we need from our foods can pass through there into our bloodstream, okay? And that's how we get our nutrients out of our food. Well, when somebody has leaky gut, that net can get damaged, okay? So the yeast can actually irritate and damage that net and cause it to develop even bigger holes. And when that happens, things that are not supposed to pass through, like food or yeast itself or toxins, your toxicity in your gas in your GI tract can actually also pass through and get into your bloodstream, okay? Now, when those things get through into your bloodstream, they can cause an immune reaction or an allergic response. So when that happens, if it gets really out of control, it can get even dangerous because your immune system can get confused and start attacking your own tissue, okay? And when it does that, it sets up for a lot of autoimmune diseases. So I suggest that everybody get online and look up leaky gut. It is known as the disease your doctor can't diagnose. You know, so many people, 10 years ago had autoimmune diseases and they had no idea what was wrong with them, and they would go to the doctor for answers, and most of the doctors would have no idea, and lots of time would tell people that it was just in their head. So do some research on leaky gut. There is a website called drax.com. He has a lot of information on it. He also has a test that you can take to see if you have the symptoms of leaky gut. And he has a new book out called Eat Dirt that has a lot of information in it too. So the next thing we're going to talk about, the next key component to a healthy gut. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're going to talk about ProBio 5. I got to clean up your gut first before we move on to the next thing. So ProBio 5 is going to help clean up your gut because it contains 5 strains of good flora, okay? Which is very important because that good flora crowds out the bad bacteria. And that's good, but it's not enough. And that's where most probiotics stop, okay? Ours actually also contains an enzyme because the yeast has a hard outer shell. And it's important to be able to break through that shell to be able to kill the yeast. So that's what the enzyme does. The enzyme actually breaks through the outer shell of the yeast, the outer cell wall, and then the grapeseed extract, which is an antifungal, can then actually get in there and kill the yeast, okay? So that's a simple explanation, but that is what our ProBio 5 does. So it's actually 3 products in one. Most people would have to get all 3 of those separately. So love our ProBio 5. So the next key important thing to clean up our gut is detoxification. One of my favorite things to talk about is poop. So 163 million Americans are constipated. Y'all, that is a lot of people walking around constipated. And any given person can have anywhere from 5 to 25 pounds of poop in their body at a time. So that's a lot. Now, the main ingredient in BioCleanse is magnesium. Magnesium is known as our relaxation mineral. And 90% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. Now, what magnesium does is a great detoxifier, so it helps us poop, which is crucial. Your body needs to eliminate effectively and daily so that the toxins are not reabsorbed back into your body. It also oxygenates our body, so it makes us resistant to disease, and a body that is oxygenated burns fat more readily. Because it's the relaxation mineral, it also helps de-stress our body, and it helps with sleep. So that's another thing to go Google all the things that magnesium does for your body. You'd be surprised. It can help with abnormal heart rhythms, low blood pressure, muscle spasms, confusion, weakness, poor nail growth. I mean, there's a long list of things, and 90% of it are deficient in magnesium. So it's another thing for you guys to go check out, magnesium, and make sure that you're taking that. Oh, so that's that. Okay. So it's really important that you have a healthy gut, because it is the gateway to good health. Like I said, I started out with plexus because I wanted to lose weight, and that's great. But as I've gotten to know these products better, I think the more important thing that plexus is going to help people with is cleaning up their gut, because it is just the key to so many health issues. So that's it, y'all. I may have talked a little too fast.
No, it was perfect, Rebecca. Like I said, it dummies it down for people like me to really understand the whole process of the triplex. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, I learned so much, Rebecca. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Seriously, I'm gonna just keep. I want the whole world to watch this. It was so good.
Well,
so
thank
good.
you.
I know. I texted Beth. I'm like, "Isn't this awesome?" She's like, "It's amazing."
Oh yeah, people are texting. Not just Ariel texted me that. So everybody really enjoyed it, and it was truly, truly amazing. I'm like Ariel. I'm not like a product guru, and you totally made it make sense. And I've heard, I've learned and I've read and I've watched all kinds of videos, but this really helped it make sense to me. So.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad.
Great job, Rebecca. Really appreciate all the information.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hold on. We have a comment. Let's see. Yep. Fantastic. This was the simplest way I've heard gut health. See, great job. Will this be recorded? Somebody wants to know if we can use this.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. We really appreciated it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on, y'all.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.